Now we will create edit and delete button for creating Angular upgrade. Column name action. We can add two icon, one for edit, class name, fa-edit, that is for icon class name. Second icon is delete. You can check UI. I think edit color should be blue and cross color will be red, that is delete colors. So we can change styles. Color should be blue for edit. Color should be red for delete button. Now we can click on edit, then will be redirect to the edit page. So we can click to edit action, add route link, edit user /id, user.id, click on so add delete, click event, delete, user.id, delete button will be defined in TS page. Build succeed. If you click edit button, then will be redirect to the edit page, user page. Click on redirect, inspect element, cannot match any routes. You can check edit user ID. You can change edit user ID, that will be the interpolation, dynamic value, error cannot match any routes, edit/user 15. So you can create routing for edit user. Going to the app routing.module, you can create another route for edit user. ID will be dynamic, so you can use colon ID, that will be dynamic, and page will be redirected to create user component also. You can check. Now click again, edit user 15, edit page will be redirect, but values not binding with appropriate user. So you can get the value 15 and bind the values of 15 user in text box. So firstly you will get the value from the browser, that is query string values. How to get the value in Angular from query string? So you can use activated route, that is the new variable for using. You can define activated route in create Angular page. So you can define activated route. Activated route basically router class that will be get the value of query string. You will be define user ID equal to 0. This dot user ID equal to this dot route dot snapshots dot params. You can define index name, that is ID. This route get the value from the query strings. This query string will be return the strings. You will be convert in integer. You can plus with prefix. User ID will be redirect. You can check user ID value. You can add create user. User ID. You can check the value of user ID. Yeah, 15, that is a match of query string value. That will be activated route is working. So now get the value of 15 user ID and bind the values in text boxes. So you will call the get API and binding the values of this user page. Bind edit value. This dot user service dot get user list. You can define service get user by ID. Slash user ID. This will be created another function get user by ID. You can call get user by ID. This dot user ID dot subscribe dot data arrow operator. Get the value, get the response in data. So now you can bind the data of user on the HTML page. Now I will change the some user functionality according to HTMLs. You will be bind the ng model two-way data binding. This user will be defined ID 0 name blank, email, gender, this is the initial value of user. So you can bind the values in this user. This dot user ID, data dot name, data dot email, data dot gender dot toString, data dot mobile number, data dot department ID, data dot address. You can check the value. This dot user, call bind edit user method in nginit method. You can check the value. This dot user on create page, user. You can convert pipe operator. You can use pipe operator or converting JSON. These value will be bind with these text boxes. So we can change the ng model property and using the two-way data binding. So you can use ng model two-way data binding. User dot name, the two-way data binding is there are value of binding two-way from TS page to HTML and HTML page to TS page. You can use ng model, email, mobile, user dot gender, user dot address. Department ID, This value will be the reflect on HTML pages. You can check. Yeah, that looks great. Name is binding, email ID binding, mobile number and department, Delhi and gender. Now you can change. This is the reflecting by the NG model two-way data binding properties. So if you use two-way data binding for binding the values and getting the values from the TS page and bind the values on HTML page, you can use two-way data binding. If you change any mobile number, you can change it and check mobile number will be this dot user form is updated and department will be CA, that is department ID is for, address is Jaipur, address will be changed. You can submit and this user will be updated by 15 user ID. So you can write the code updated user. This dot user ID and this dot user ID greater than 0, that will be updated. Else create user. Write the code for edit user update. You can define same as this dot user property, name, email, mobile address, gender and department ID, getting the values of gender, mobile address, name. You can write the code of edit user. So this will be right and you can pass the edit user for ID. Also one is ID colon this dot user ID. This user will be updated, so we can write this service for update user. This dot user service dot post user. Create another service. Update user. This will be called put method and that will be called two parameter. First is user ID, second is user. User ID will be called user ID comma user. You can call this service in code this dot user ID and this dot user dot subscribe data you can check what is the return of put method. Put method will be return the object, updated object. You can check if this dot user ID equal to data dot ID That means user updated successfully. So you can pass the message user updated successfully, else you can pass message something went wrong, error message. You can check, click to edit, bind the values and change the ID. Change it Sharma, mobile number is this. You can change address is Jaipur. You can click to submit. Breakpoint will be enable. Continue. User edit successfully. I think message will be changed. Also this value will be blank and going to the list of page. Go to the page on home page, user list. You can call router dot navigate method. So you can define a constructor private router this dot router dot navigate home page. This will be redirected to home page, but this will be redirected to some delay. So you can use set timeout function. You can pass the value 4000 milliseconds, that means 4 seconds, and you can call these inline and update it successfully. You can check again, click to edit, address Delhi, Deepak Verma, mobile number change, click to submit. User updated successfully, message will be changed and that will be page will be redirected after 4 seconds. This data will be updated successfully. So edit operation has been completed and update. Now we can use delete. If you click delete, that will be pop-up will be redirected and that is a confirmation box, yes or no. If you click to yes, that will be deleted this user. If no, that no action performed. So we have created a component for delete pop-up. ngg for generate, c for component, delete pop-up. Delete component created successfully. You can check. I have created design delete pop-up, so I will copy it. One error is coming, message is undefined. You can define the message in TS page. You can use selector on list page. But this pop-up will be depend on depend on message. So message will be passed from the list page. So I have used two component, that is parent component angular list component and child component is app delete popup. So if you want to pass the data one component to another component, there are two ways: parent to child and child to parent. So you can discuss. There are two ways. First is input in angular. When data will pass from parent component to child component, then use @input variable. Suppose you have created a parent component and there is another component is child component. App child component, you will pass the target data and it is the source data. Source data will be defined in the parent component and target data will be defined in the child component with @input variable. Second is output. Output in angular, when data will be received from child component to parent component, then use @output variable. So there is different from the input because you have defined an event using the event emitter class. So you can define @output variable and receive child event, that is the new event, custom event you can use, and creating the object event emitter class. So you can call this way. I have used both ways using the delete popup. So I have passed the message, that is using the input variable. You can define message in TS page list. Suppose you have passed type confirm and message text. You can check the delete popup HTML. Text will be changed, so you can use message.type. Are you sure? Do you want to delete? Delete this user. Message will be defined any. One error is gone. Message You can define input variable in child component, that is app delete component. Error is gone. You can check, like pop-up is working like this, but message is not showing in pop-up. Why? Check message.text. I think text will be changed in HTML page. Yes, HTML body you can change. Are you sure to want to delete this user? This is the confirmation box, but this one confirmation box is by default. You can click to delete button, then pop-up will be coming. So by default is confirm false. So you can call delete button, that will be called this dot message and pass the value both confirm and message. Yes, pop-up is gone. If you click delete button, then will be pop-up is coming. Click to delete. Are you sure to want to delete this user? If you click yes, then will be deleted this user. If no, that action pop-up is gone. So firstly working on no click button. So I am working on this. Delete pop-up. Click to button yes, no, and click to delete button. No confirm, no action. So you can define the body. This dot message you will be defined undefined. You can check again. Click to edit. No, that is pop-up gone. No button is working fine. Now click to action perform on yes button. So I will create the logic of yes button. Click delete. Which user will be deleted? So how to get the user ID from the parent component to child component? So you can set the user ID in message. You can check message any box. User ID will be set it in ID. This dot user ID will be set it and pass the message. So if you getting the ID, so you can use message.id in delete component. This dot message.id you can check delete user. console.log click to delete. Yes, id is 14, user id. So I have getting the values of user id, which user to be deleted. I am creating the logic of delete functionality. So you can create a service for delete. I have created an object of service private service user service. This dot user service dot post. I have defined the logic of delete user. Delete user. Change the method http method. Change the http method delete. This dot user slash user id. Which user to be deleted. So I have passed user id. I have used this delete user and pass the value. This dot message dot id. This is the integer value, so you can convert integer and get the response. Subscribe data arrow operator. If user deleted successfully, you can reload the list and also sending the message deleted user successfully, and confirmation popup is closed. So I have sent the message from child component to parent component. Delete component is child component and Angular CRUD list is parent component. So how to pass the data from child to parent? So I have used output variable and creating custom event. After delete event and define the value method. After delete, you can use event that will be dynamic. After delete function will be defined in TS page. Data will be receive any type. If you using output event, first event is custom event, you can define in child component. Now you can use output variable with this event at the rate output variable. New event emitter. This is not string, this is Angular /core import. Event emitter is define output. Now you can send the data with the help of after delete event. So if this dot message dot id equal to data dot id, that means user deleted successfully, you can pass the message this dot result. You can pass the message with the help of result variable. This dot result message equal to status, that is true, deleted successfully, and message user data dot name plus deleted successfully. You can pass the message same as compare if else part, something went wrong, deleted user cannot delete. So you can pass the message status false and message not deleted, something went wrong, I have used this result message, this event after delete and receiving in event parameter. This result message received in parameter data. So if data dot status equal to true, that means user deleted successfully. You can load the list, set time out function passing 4000 millisecond. You can call get list users, else you can show the error message. So you can use error and success message. App so success message by default will be value is false. This show message and error message is not showing by default. And message will be blank. Error success you can pass this HTML. Now you can check the code. If user is confirmation, then user deleted successfully, set timeout get user function. Else you can pass change the value. This dot is visible error true, and this dot message error success equal to data dot message. Same here, successfully message. You can pass the value. This is visible true and data message successfully, and get user will be define the values of default. This dot delete event dot emit passing the message. This dot result message. You can check again. Click to delete. Yes, Gaurav Verma deleted successfully. Refresh the page. Click to add user. Check again Gaurav Verma. Gaurav @gmail.com. Mobile number. Select department ID. Address Delhi. Click to submit. User added successfully. You can check the list. Click to edit. You can check the address. Address is Mumbai. Click to submit. User updated successfully. Going to the list. That is the Angular CRUD operation. If you click to delete button, that also working. Click to delete. Yes, deleted successfully. This is Angular CRUD tutorial with Web API. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you.